Hello everyone, welcome to today's Sunset Musing. It's Dr. Katka here. We are at the Desert Botanical Garden. Oh my goodness, what a beautiful place. I know a lot of you are waiting for our thyroid support. So I'm just going to wait for you guys to come on and then share with you everything I know that would help us to take care of our thyroid better. Before I do that, if you are local and you live in Phoenix, the Desert Botanical Garden right now is in its prime bloom, and the cacti are so beautiful. It's amazing. It really, it's like the whole desert is awake. And then the next step, we're gonna have the saguaros blooming, you guys. I'm gonna try to capture that for you. The cactus, I wasn't able to because it's at a little different location. Then you can see the sunset. However, I made some photos and I'll post all of them. Oh my goodness, this is the time to come. And they also have this remarkable exhibit. They did 3. There was wind, water, and earth. And earth is the 3rd exhibit. And it is 10,000 flowers in one exhibit. And it changes color. It's like this. Oh, again, the pictures don't do it justice, you guys, but oh my goodness, if you are able to come in, it's only till the 25th, and tomorrow she said they're refreshing the flowers, so anytime after tomorrow, it's my please go if you can, because it's unforgettable. All right, so as we're watching the sunset, which is kind of going to be behind the cactus a little bit, you see, and then I'll move it for you. But let us talk about the thyroid, right? I feel like that is an organ that a lot of us are struggling with. I have a lot of patients coming and they say, you know, my thyroid doesn't work so well, and I'm taking medication and I don't want to be on medication. The medication is toxic. And first I want to start with having us understand that the thyroid is a remarkable organ, because the receptors for thyroid hormone is pretty much on every cell in the body. As you know, its primary goal is to regulate metabolism. And what that means is making sure we have enough fuel, we have enough energy, our body is functioning at an optimal level. And so the thing that we contribute to thyroid deficiency is fatigue. And the reason for that is that our receptors are not perceiving and are not capturing the thyroid hormone itself. Either there is not enough, or there is like a receptor downregulation, or we have antibodies against thyroid. The thing that I have found out is the testing is not oftentimes complete. So what that means is when we go to our doctor, we need to ask for 3 tests, sometimes 4. Like right now I'm doing 4 always. Reason for that, and as you guys see, there's actually a cloud in the back, but you cannot probably see, so I'll let you enjoy it. So this may be it for the sunset. As it's peaking, I'll move it for you. Ha 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 ha. Isn't that just beautiful? It's going behind a cloud, so this may be it. So we'll just say good night, dear sun, for right now. Oops. And as we are saying good night to the sun, I want us to take a moment and really acknowledge our thyroid. Our thyroid, as you all know, is right here, sitting right here, and it is a highly perfused organ. So what that means, it's not only is it at the surface, so it's more exposed to things like radiation, it's also highly sensitive to the radiation because of its capacity of the hormones and the iodine. But the other thing is it has such a high blood flow to be able to keep up with our metabolism, that if we have toxins in our bodies, and you know I talked about that, today we are kind of oversaturated on the toxic level. The thyroid tends to really have a high flow of blood, so it tends to accumulate a lot of toxins. And then what happens, the cells of the thyroid, so their morphology, check it out, this is profound, their morphology changes. So instead of looking like a thyroid cell, it starts looking a little different, right? And what our body starts doing in order to protect us against a foreign body, foreign invader, which is perceiving the thyroid cell, at that point it changes its structure because it has the toxins inside. It starts producing antibodies to save us. You know, our body, remember, it always tries to protect us. It is so profound. And right now it's producing antibodies to take care of those little cells that do not belong. So with that, we have to remember that when we check the thyroid, we want to also check the antibodies. And the reason for that, and I have seen so many perfect thyroid levels that the doctor wouldn't even think to check the antibodies, and the person had elevated antibodies, and it changes the way we treat the thyroid. So I say always TSH, which is the hormone from the pituitary that regulates the thyroid. It's the one that gets done all the time, but it's not the only one. So we cannot base our thyroid measurements and function only by the hormone of the pituitary. We need to check the T3 and T4. There is total T3 and total T4. However, the active ones are the free T3 and the free T4. So we're always going to ask for TSH, free T3, and free T4. And out of those three, we can really get a good reading. And what's going to happen is, for the most part, we're going to come within the range, but the range is so large, between 1 and 4, or between actually 0.3, 0.5 to 4. If you were at 3.8, you would still measure okay. However, what that's also telling us is that the pituitary is putting too much TSH because it's perceiving that there's not enough thyroid hormone. So we want to be close to about 1.5 on the TSH, and we want to be definitely close to 1 or above on the free T4, and as close to 3 and above on the free T3 for optimal functions. And then always ask your doctor. The sun is saying, hello you guys, you got this, because look at that, it's actually coming out of the clouds just for us. Always ask your doctor to add at least one antibody. The main one is anti-TPO. That's ANTI-TPO. That's the number one antibody that oftentimes, our antibodies should be 0. We should have no antibodies. But because so many people have elevated antibodies against thyroid, the measurement of the reference range have gotten up to 60. So if you're below 60, for some labs, you're okay. For the most part, below 30, you're okay. But truly, the answer is we should have 0 antibodies. So what do we do to support thyroid? Remember, it's not just about thyroid, it's about the nutrients. It's always about the nutrients that the thyroid has. I know, enjoy the sunset for a little bit as we talk about thyroid nutrients. I wonder, I will let you guys put it up there in the chat. What do you think are the main nutrients for the thyroid as we enjoy the sun? Behind the cactus, how cool is that? That only happens at the Desert Botanical Garden. Phoenix, Arizona, of course. Thank you, son. We love you so much. The beautiful thing that our thyroid is we're perceiving the photons from the sun. That's why I keep saying the power of the sun is so profound, because we're actually getting nutrients through the photons, and so is our thyroid. So if we right now, just either whether you watch it on the screen, that's fine. Just imagine the sun coming in and bringing nutrients into our thyroid. So we're right now putting focus onto our thyroid, and what that means, we're bringing more blood flow to it, and we're bringing more photons from the sun. And we're basically asking the thyroid to function properly. We can put some breath in there, and we can just thank the thyroid for doing such a good job at literally keeping our metabolism working. Like literally, that's the organ that keeps us up and running together with the adrenals. The other thing with thyroid, that so much of our medicine right now is focusing on thyroid, because we have hormones for thyroid, right? But we do not have so much support for the adrenal glands, so we forget a little bit about the adrenal glands. And that is becoming a little bit of a problem because I'm reading what you got. Oh, thank you, thyroid. Yes, I know you guys. Because the adrenals and the thyroid, it's like sisters, or there's 2 adrenal glands, 1 thyroid, it's like 3 sisters. Because the thyroid needs optimally functioning adrenal glands. And oftentimes I see patients coming in on thyroid hormone and their adrenals are depleted, and what that means is that we are supplementing the secondary problem while the primary problem is not yet healed. So we always want to think about adrenal glands. You're gonna hear some people here having a conversation as we're doing the video, and what I wanted to just put out there is we always want to make sure the adrenals are supported, and our traditional medical doctors will not know this information as much, so you're the one that has to be more aware and asking. There's not a really good test for adrenals unless we do a saliva test for cortisol, but it's mostly symptom based as far as, do we have weaker adrenal glands? All 3 sisters, yeah, it's beautiful. So always remember the adrenal glands. And the sun is almost down, you guys, so thank you. This was beautiful, wasn't it? Having a little botanical garden. We have a lot of people watching here. I'll show you guys, this is quite amazing. Everybody's watching sunset right now. That's so many people right now watching sunset. You see, it's just a profound event, I would think, of the day. Most of them are going to leave, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to hang here with you guys and keep going. Okay, so what do we do to support the thyroid, right? The thyroid needs nutrients. So the nutrients for the thyroid are, you guys put it in there, I think, already, but number 1, yes, you got it, is iodine, right? Number 2 is selenium and zinc. So that's 3 nutrients. There's a lot of other ones like the B vitamins for metabolism, but those 3 nutrients. And sometimes what happens, iodine, so this is very important, even if we just do that, iodine, chloride and fluoride, they are in the same category on the table of elements. And what that means is that they are very similar, and so what we can do is we can displace iodine and fluoride, we can displace chloride and fluoride with iodine. And because our water is so chlorinated and there is so much fluoride everywhere and in the toothpaste, literally we are lacking iodine because those elements are displacing it. So we do support the iodine in, and we start with a low dose. We don't have to go extra high. We can go anywhere from 2 to 10 milligrams up to 50, but a lot of times we can just start with micrograms. We can start really slow. And the other thing that's even more profound, if you guys start doing the heavy metal smoothie detox by Anthony Williams, it's adding dulce, D-U-L-C-E, Atlantic organic dulce, has high levels, or any other seaweed really, has high levels of iodine. So even if we just add that to our smoothie or to our daily supplementation, we're gonna be right on. The other thing we do forget oftentimes is those trace minerals, the zinc and the selenium. The zinc often, a lot of times we're taking now because we're in the midst of this protecting the immune system, so zinc we already have on board, or we just take trace minerals, or remember the greens that I have talked to you about. They're filled with these nutrients, right? So we're thinking iodine, which for the most part we have to add. We can do that. It's a very potent smoothie. I had it this morning, I had it yesterday, and literally it wakes up the body. And I think partially it is because, remember, we need the adrenals to be strong and we need the thyroid to be strong, the 3 sisters, for optimal functioning of our energy and mitochondria. So just remember a simple thing, just like that. Get some greens in so you get the other elements. And then if we need to do hormones, so let's talk about that. So the way I believe is nutrients first, then we bring in the herbs, and then if still that's not enough, we can bring in the external hormone. So there's a lot of herbal supportive supplements that can actually rebuild our thyroid that I have seen over and over, and I have so many patients that we didn't have to go to hormones. We just rebuild the thyroid, we rebuild the adrenals with some herbs, potentially glandulars, and the thyroid just recovered and the numbers went up. So we don't have to go straight to hormones. However, if that's the next step, there are two key elements here to remember. For the most part, traditional medicine right now uses Thyroid, which is T4, it's levothyroxine. Remember when I was telling you how the thyroid functions and what two measures? We measure TSH, free T3, and free T4. Synthroid is actually total T4, so it only supplements T4. However, the active hormone is the T3. So not only does body have to activate from the total to the free form, which happens through the elements of the iodine and the minerals, but it also has to take T4 and convert it into T3. So if we're getting Synthroid and we don't have enough iodine, we don't have enough zinc, we are, depleted already, our adrenals are not functioning, we're not actually converting this T4 Synthroid levothyroxine into the active. That's why I see so many patients that come on thyroid hormone and they're depleted, they still have the symptoms. So it's more, okay, I have to start thinking, can I supplement something that is closer to what the body actually is making, which is T4 and T3? So we can take a natural form as close to the body as possible that has the T4 and T3 in a form and in a ratio that the body would make it. So remember, oftentimes now endocrinologists more and more are open to that, but a lot of them still only test TSH and only test or only give T4. So that's a little bit over like half of the support. So we want to go to the full support. The other thing that is important, so the testing is important and the supplementation and then the hormones, but there's something also that is sort of more of a conflicting that I see, different tests going on with different doctors. How do we test for the thyroid? So if I'm not on any thyroid hormone, it's easy. First thing in the morning, I go for the blood draw and I'm good to go. However, if I am taking thyroid hormone, do I want to actually test what my body is doing with the hormone? Or do I want to wait 24 hours where the hormone is out of the picture and I'm not really measuring what's happening with the hormone, which is for the most part what happens. Remember, if we take thyroid hormone in 24 hours, it is out of our system for the most part. It is broken down. So if I don't take my hormone in the morning and I go for the test, which a lot of time gets done, I'm just kind of testing how I am without it. So the better way to go, we can do that too, but then the better way to go to have the real picture is I take the hormone first thing in the morning or early. Yeah, it can be done anytime. Yes, we don't have to go fasting for that one. But the idea is to take the hormone about 5 to 6 hours prior to the test, so then we have the hormone in an active phase in our organism when we're testing, so we can actually see what is going on. How much are we? Are we on too much hormone, or are we on or not enough? So that's a whole way of regulating. Once we're on hormone, the testing becomes really important. So you guys, that's important. And that's about it for the thyroid right now. So the one thing I want to remind us is testing and support, and don't forget the three sisters of the adrenals, because it's huge. It's a big picture. Remember, endocrine system, our endocrinology has taken every gland and sort of separated it from the whole. So what we need to do is bring it together as a whole, and then remember its function in the body as the number one metabolism regulating gland. And also remember, the liver and the thyroid are closely related, because liver is such a power organ when it comes to metabolism. It has vast amount of receptors for the body. Does exercise assist the thyroid? Yes, and if we're depleted, that's a whole different story. So if we're depleted, we don't have enough. Okay, you guys, so we're gonna have a little sound here going, so it's okay. But when we're depleted, it's like with the adrenal glands. When the adrenal glands are depleted and we go work out, we actually don't have enough, and we are not able to recover afterwards. So we're more tired. So there comes a point where instead of pushing it with exercise, we need to rebuild and reset first before we start pushing the glands and the endocrine system in particular any further. Okay, can anything be done if you've been treated with radioactive iodine that suppresses the thyroid? So this is really interesting, because the question becomes, Kathleen, is how much thyroid did actually get damaged? And the idea is, the radioactive iodine, we have overreactive thyroid, or there's some kind of growth, so we're trying to suppress it with the iodine. Oftentimes there's some thyroid left, so it means not 100% of the gland has been deactivated. And if that's the case, so the way to find out is we can do that through testing without the supplementation for maybe a day, 24 hours, 36 hours, you don't take the medicine, you go test. But yeah, actually taking iodine is helpful, and taking herbs for the thyroid, it tends to reawaken the dormant. Because what happens is there is one way to go and kill the thyroid cells, and there's one way to make it dormant, where the thyroid cells gets kind of hibernates and goes to sleep. So the idea would be that we wake up the ones that are still there and available while we're supplementing the hormone to help us. Okay, I'm kind of going through your guys's questions here to make sure I don't miss anything. If your thyroid is depleted, it's an easy gland to support. And I'll just leave it with one more thing, you guys, is the autoimmunity has been so suppressed these days, and what that means is we have not talked about it as much. Yeah, and so let me grab this thing and see if I can step away a little bit, because this is important, and you don't have to listen to this part, but I want to kind of share that with you guys, is because the autoimmune aspect, we don't know much what to do with it in our traditional medicine, so we sort of don't pay attention, so hear me out. If there is autoimmune problem in the thyroid, is usually one of two things that happens. It's either, again, too many toxins, it could be some pathogens, but the other thing, it would be allergens, like major, like the gluten sensitivity, and gluten in general is a molecule in our organism that can produce a lot of autoimmunity. And the reason for that is the antibodies against gluten are very similar to the antibodies against many organs, whether it's muscles, whether it's thyroid glands, whether it's the bile ducts, or even, in the brain. So if there is an immunity, it becomes of the utmost important, not only to bring the nutrients in and support the organs. During autoimmunity, we do have to be careful with iodine. We don't want to overdo the iodine. And sometimes the natural thyroid with the T3 is almost too much stimulation. So at that point, we may need to start with the basic T4 and the levothyroxine. But the most important part becomes, let's get off the gluten. And it's almost like the best medicine is doing that for several weeks. The thyroid recovers. So if your thyroid is weak, if you feel like you've been told like this is it, don't give up, because remember, the body can recover beautifully. So this is it, you guys, for the thyroid. If you have any questions, please post them. I'll go back tonight. I'll answer all of them. And how was that sunset for today and our first Medical Monday of thyroid? What an amazing gland. Remember always to be grateful for the work that it's doing, because it's working tremendously 24/7. That's the part about our body, 24/7 support of us, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Good night, and let me know what would you like to be for our next organ. I'm totally gonna go with you. I have some thoughts, but I'll wait for your input. Take care, you guys. Bye.